The city already felt something was wrong. It just couldn't explain it. When nothing connects, everything feels like noise. He lived an ordinary life in a city that had already started to fear itself. While police were filing away isolated cases, reality was forming into one shape, a person they simply couldn't see. The biggest mistake wasn't that they weren't looking for him. It was that they couldn't recognize him as one individual. The incidents happened across different years, and every time, they looked unrelated. A system that collects everything, but understands nothing. When there's no connection, even evidence becomes useless. Dusseldorf, Germany, the Weimar Republic, the period after the First World War, economic instability, overloaded police forces, and a system without a unified structure. Each case was recorded separately, but nothing tied them together. Archives were fragmented. Departments didn't share information. And that's where the problem began. The earliest signals never look like a pattern. They only become one in hindsight. Since the early 1910s, attacks were being reported. The first known incidents date back to around 1913. Different locations, different circumstances, different years, and in between, long gaps that hid the pattern. In total, there were dozens of incidents that no one connected at the time. Sometimes the criminal isn't hidden. The system is just looking in the wrong direction. Too much information can blur the truth. Sometimes a criminal doesn't disappear. The system simply fails to assemble him into one person. No pattern means no suspect. That's the real failure. When everything looks different, nothing connects. The cases weren't connected. There was no concept of a serial offender. Background crime blurred everything. He didn't stand out. He blended in. There was no consistent victim type. No single method. And that broke every attempt at profiling. The most dangerous disguise is normal life. No mask is needed when you already fit in. He lived in two realities. In one, an ordinary citizen, work, routine, social life. In the other, a series of violent crimes. He appeared clean, polite, ordinary, and that's exactly why no one questioned him. This wasn't chaos. It was repetition with intent, not a breakdown, a pattern. Later, experts would identify clear sadistic tendencies, awareness of his actions, planning, understanding of consequences. The court declared him legally sane. This wasn't impulsive behavior. It was a consistent psychological pattern. His motive was linked to internal stimulation, reinforced through repetition. The early environment doesn't explain everything, but it leaves traces. Before the crimes, there was already instability. In 1883, in Germany, a child is born who would later become the center of one of the country's most infamous cases. Peter Curtin. He grows up in a violent and unstable home. From an early age, behavioral problems appear. Before adulthood, he is already known to the police. Over time, this turns into repeated offenses and long periods in prison. Fear spreads fastest when there's no clear pattern. Uncertainty changes how people live. The city lives in tension. The press reports new incidents. Each one amplifies the fear. The victims come from different groups. There is no clear pattern. That unpredictability changes everything. People alter their routines, limit movement, start fearing everyday life. The truth doesn't appear, it accumulates. At some point, chaos starts to look like structure. By 1929, something shifts. Police begin Reviewing old cases. A key idea emerges. This could be one person. Cases are linked by time and location, but the system is overwhelmed. Hundreds of thousands of checks, thousands of tips. The information doesn't help anymore. It overwhelms everything. Most cases don't end with certainty. They end with exposure. One mistake is enough to collapse everything. Suspicion inside his personal circle becomes critical. He realizes pressure is building, and he slips. One incident leaves more trace than before. His wife learns the truth and reports it to the police. By this point, many incidents have accumulated. In 1930, he is arrested. After the arrest, he gives detailed confessions, including facts that were never made public. He describes dozens of incidents, including cases long buried in archives. And they begin to match. Systems don't fail all at once. They fail quietly. And then they learn too late. Police face a new reality. The man they were looking for had been part of the system all along. No analytics, no profiling. Investigations were reactive, case by case, not as a series. You can only stay invisible for so long. Eventually, repetition creates a footprint. The more incidents are recorded, the tighter the circle becomes. Even without a clear pattern, the series becomes visible, and that's what exposes him. The court sees fragments, not the full scale. What can be proven is always smaller than what is known. In 1931, the trial takes place. Confessions are confirmed. Experts declare him sane. The sentence, death. The court convicts him for 9 proven cases, but he himself claims responsibility for many more incidents. That gap becomes one of the most important aspects of the case. Execution. Cologne, July 1931. Some cases end. The questions don't, and the real failure is always earlier than the ending. He never disappeared. He was always there. They just couldn't put him together as one person. The contrast between proven cases and the total number of claimed incidents remains central to understanding this case. Before his execution, he made a statement about wanting to hear the sound of his own blood. That moment is often interpreted as a reflection of his psychological state.